Anybody here for the first time other than, I know our guest from Climate Reality, Ben Sackler, is anybody else here like to introduce themselves? See a couple of names I'm not sure are familiar or not. It's hard to tell on Zoom. It's good to see cats, lots of cats.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Alan. I just joined recently. I stopped by a booth at the EarthX event.
Good, Alan. And what's your particular area of focus? What are you interested in, or just pretty much everything?
I guess I would categorize myself as a climate change advocate.
Good. Well, that's what we're all about. And we're going to learn some tools today to use for that from our speaker. We're glad to have you, Alan, and welcome. Anybody
Yeah,
else? Okay. I think we will go into the land acknowledgement. We like to start our meetings with the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement, which is on our chapter website. Specifically in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we are standing and living on the land stolen from the Kickapoo, Wichita, Tawakoni, Jumanos, and Comanche people who have been harmed yet continue to thrive in the process of colonization and white supremacy. I encourage all of us to go to native-land.ca and educate ourselves on these Native communities. Simon, if you would briefly go over our ground rules for today, we would appreciate that.
Absolutely. Let me turn this over here so it doesn't look like I'm talking to somebody else. So at our meetings, please remember to make space or take space. Limit your responses to 2 minutes each so everybody has time to speak. When you speak from the I perspective instead of generalizing. Practice active listening and seek to understand. Assume everyone has good intentions. Respect one another's space, time, and interest. Be willing to be uncomfortable. Be open to productive discomfort. Remember that intent does not negate impact. Disagree without discord. Personal attacks and labeling have no place in our chapter, and accept that there is no quick fix for the issues we discuss.
Thank you. I'm going to put the agenda in chat. Always a pretty rich agenda. Mike, you look familiar. I think we either saw you at Oak Cliff or EarthX. Are you joining us for the first time?
This is actually the second time, and yes, we've spoken a couple times, and it was at EarthX actually a year ago initially, and I was on a meeting, I believe, probably in the fall, but I just finished my climate reality training. I'd like to get active here in DFW and see what we can do, you know. So I was a little ill-prepared coming in, and sorry I jumped on late, but I'm happy to be here and happy to learn with you guys. So thank you.
We're happy to have you, Mike. Did you go to the Inflation Reduction Act training?
Yes, I think that would be what it was. It was right leading up to Earth Day.
Yes. Yeah, that's
yeah.
it. Did you find that to be what you expected? Were you happy with that training?
Yes, actually I was. And I guess the next step is where I'm at right now. And I was a little frustrated on the Reality Hub. because my understanding was that material would be available so I could learn how to do presentations next. And so I was having trouble hooking in, finding that. So, but no, I love the training, and I can't remember who was on there. I feel like somebody from the DFW chapter that I had a brief chat with was also in on that one of the trainings, at least that I was in on. So.
Good. Well, you've come to the right place because Ben Sackler is here. He's going to tell us all about the Reality Hub. So whatever you need from that, he will explain. Happy to have you. Happy to have you, Alan. Jan, good to see you. I'm glad you don't have an overlapping meeting today.
Hi, Richard. Hi. I actually do, but I might leave a little early. The third Saturday, every third Saturday, there's an overlap with the Dallas White Rock Lake Highlands Democrats.
Yeah, we're aware of that and we're working on it. So we're going to talk about that. We wanted to keep to the schedule. This is our first meeting in a couple of months, but we'll discuss that conflict.
Well, thank you. I don't expect everybody to bend to my issues, but I just wanted to give you that feedback because I think there are some people in there who would be interested in our group. You know, if it just that darn conflict every month.
Good.
So thank you.
Good.
I'm going to try to switch over to my computer. I just couldn't find the invite. So I might pop in later where you can see me.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, y'all.
Beth, do you have something you'd like to share with us from the creatives?
Yes, I have an opening for us. And the gratitude focus for the day is on our senses, the gateway from how we experience life into how we connect with the earth. And we begin contemplating seeing, sight, vision, being able to see the vibrant colors in blooms, in leaf, in the sky, in ocean. Smelling the blossoms, the fresh mowed grass, the sea breezes, touch, the sensation between smooth bark, rough bark, sand, water, the sensation of wind on our faces, in our hair, and listening and remembering that even beyond the song of birds, the earth is speaking to us all the time. That even beyond the sound of the music of wind in the branches, she speaks to us within on a deeper level, and we give gratitude to her and to our senses for connecting with her.
Thank you, Beth. Okay, we have a couple of early announcements, and Alex, why don't you go first? You have some information for us. I think you want to share.
Sure, I can try. Can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. First off, unrelated, we just switched our email platform from MailChimp to Beehive. I sent out an email on May 10th, but I think there were some issues with transferring the emails over. It won't tell me whose emails weren't accepted. It just tells me that not all of them were accepted. So if you did not receive an email on May 10th, please check your spam, please check like your promotions. And then if it's still not there, please let me know so I can make sure that you're on our email list. Okay. Thanks. And then, okay, I didn't think of what to say, so I'm just gonna say everything. I have good news and bad news, and most of you here already know that. But so the good news is I was accepted to a PhD program in public health at UT Med.
Uh-oh.
You just froze.
Yeah, she's camping,
Gratitude in
so,
my thanks.
There she is.
yeah.
Okay, am I back?
You're
You're
back.
back.
Yeah, nobody heard the bad news.
We just heard the good news, so that's not bad.
I
mean,
can't hear.
And you're frozen again.
Maybe just do audio, Alex.
We're going on a journey. Hold on.
Find the high spot.
Could this be a sign from the universe that she should miss the bad news or shouldn't do what she's thinking?
Good point.
Here, y'all.
Okay, just.
All right, Alex is saying she's gonna come back in a second.
I'm gonna come back, so
Just consider this to be a commercial, building suspense.
should we go with the treasurer's report?
Yes.
Yeah, Jayesh? Okay, you think
Can you
you're
hear me?
good, Alex?
Am I back? I can hear y'all.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, we're just gonna go with it. I had this long speech prepared, but I'm just gonna say it. Long story short, I was accepted to a PhD program in Galveston, so I will be moving to Galveston in July, but that does mean I will be stepping down as vice chair of the chapter. Man, the whole internet situation just stole my thunder, but wanted to express my gratitude to everybody for, you know, what the Dallas chapter has done for me, what all of you have done for me. It's been such a pleasure serving on the executive committee with all of you. I'm not going to cry. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to do it. But I would not be where I am today without the chapter. So thank you all so much for your support. I will still be around for a couple of months. And of course, if you need anything, it's not like I'm leaving the state. I'll just be down south. So I'm still here to help in any way that I can. But again, thank you all from the bottom of my heart. We are such a great chapter. We hear praise from national climate reality all of the time for our chapter, and that is because of all of you and because of the work that you do. We would not be able to do it without you. So thank you all so much. Like I said, I'll still be around for a couple of months, so this isn't goodbye, but you know, just again, thank you. Now I'm going to turn my camera off because I'm by the bathrooms.
Congratulations, Alex.
Congratulations. Alex has certainly been a major force in our chapter since her first day. I remember she came to the fossil-free Fed protest was the first time I met her, and she just stepped right up and has been high energy and productive ever since. So we love her and we will miss her dearly. But more about that later. Jayashri, you get to follow that with a treasurer's report. Do you have good news and bad news too?
Yes, I think I have only good news. So first of all, I wanted to report that, remember, we had this poll about National had asked me whether we wanted to switch to a virtual card for our chapter, and most of us had voted yes. So I did tell them, but the person in charge has gone on a vacation till the end of May. But she told me that in the meantime, she's sending a replacement card. So none of our activities will be in any way stalled or held up. Second thing is, I'm going on a long vacation. So we have some recurring payments to be done for our chapter. So I will request the amount that's needed for our subscriptions, annual subscriptions to 3 or 4 things that we pay for. Another thing, to all the new members, and especially the executive committee members, this was a decision not taken by me, but when we first had the chapter funds established and our treasurer was assigned, I was trained in this. And just to inform you, not that anyone has done anything wrong, but just to inform the new members that any amount that has to be spent through the chapter has to be approved by all the exec committee members, if not all, then majority, because we would like to reimburse you for whatever you spend. So we need clear receipts for each and every item and clear dates indicated on it. And there is a form you'll have to fill out to get that submission reimbursement. So that's the detail I can tell you later on. Also, and the last one I would like to say is we have enough money in our chapter to pay for our current expenses. If there is any more further expenses needed, then we have to raise funds. We have beyond the current expenses, we have about 200 or 300 extra. And a reminder, like it occurred to me that we have bought a lot of stuff over the years for the chapter, like banners and trash pickers and stuff like that. I don't have a whole inventory. So someone in the chapter should keep an inventory, because members do keep coming and going. So who has them when stuff? So we should have an inventory where if that person goes away, then others can access that. That just came to my mind while I was making my points. So that's about it, unless someone has a question for me.
I have a question, but not for you, Jayashri.
Sure.
Is there anybody who would like to work with Jayashri to create that inventory? Anybody present that would like to do that? Because if not, it's going to go on the Help Wanted forum on the Discord server.
I hope I don't hate myself for volunteering, but I will. I'd love to work with Jayashri.
Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you, Maureen. That so much. Thank you, Richard, and that's my bit.
Okay, thank you. Good. Well, we're ready for our main speaker today. Just a little bit of an introduction. Ben Sackler goes by he, him pronouns. He's the community manager at the Climate Reality Project. I'm sure you've seen quite a few emails from him, probably even just this week. Born and raised in Westchester, New York, Ben attended the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina, where he discovered his passion for environmentalism and community engagement. Ben has gone on a number of environmental excursions around the world, from Hawaii to Iceland, and loves to spend time outside, take photos on his camera, and slap the drums. Yay. As community manager, Ben engages with climate reality leaders on Reality Hub and sets them up with resources and spaces for them to engage with each other. So he's going to be talking to us today about the Reality Hub overview. And we're very appreciative of that, because we've had a lot of tools at our disposal. What part of Westchester are you from, Ben? My sister lives in Port Chester.
Very cool. I'm from Chappaqua, which is in the northern part of the county. So cool. Cool to have a Westchester connection on the call.
Very good. Well,
Yeah.
The floor is yours. Hopefully you can, if you need the screen, you can take it however you want to proceed.
Great. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I will do a screen share in a little bit. But yes, thank you so much for the introduction. I'm really happy to be here. Like Alex said at the top of the call, this chapter really is exemplary. You know, we have our all-star chapters, and I would say this is definitely one of them. So thank you all for, you know, the work that you're doing constantly. We really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm Ben, community manager. And yeah, I work on Reality Hub. So yes, you've definitely seen emails from me. You might not have known that they've come from Reality Hub explicitly, but they probably have if they were from me. And yeah, just a quick pitch about Reality Hub before we get into the actual content. Reality Hub is our online community. So this is where we filter in what's close to 60,000 of our volunteers now, between our climate reality leaders and folks who maybe have not been trained but are in our community chapters across the country. And it's a space for people to engage with one another, to hopefully, form coalitions, to meet one another based on interests, for you to, get information from our headquarters, so that, you can do all the work that you need to do. And also so that you can collect resources, namely from our trainings, if you are a trained leader and you have access to that licensed content, and other various resources that might help you with your everyday activism. So we will get into the resources bit too. I know, Mike, you had a question about that, and hoping to clear up some things there. I'll also say that every chapter group, when we launched this new version of Reality Hub, got their very own group space that you can, engage with your fellow chapter members in. And, Reality Hub is used for more than just that. Obviously, there's, every climate reality leader, other, group spaces for campaigns and topic specific group spaces. So some chapters use their group and as their primary method of communication, and some don't. So, I know you all have a Discord, which is, totally a good tool as well. But this is, still, this space still exists for you in your chapter, in case you wanted to use it, or you wanted to use a different method of communicating with people. So with that, I will get into it. I'll share my screen now so you can actually see what I'm talking about. Oh, I'm getting a host disabled participant screen sharing note. Maybe I can become a co-host or something, if you have the capability to do that, Richard.
Richard, you're muted too.
Yeah, I will fix that. You're now the host. It doesn't give me co-host, but host should work.
Okay, yeah. Nice. Yes, I'm getting it now. Okay, great. Let's get into it. And don't mind, I also have a cat who's lingering right here. So if she happens to walk across, don't be alarmed. It's not a wild animal. Okay, great. Here we are in the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter space. So like I said, there's countless groups on Reality Hub. You can see this is my groups panel here on the left. I'm in every group in the community because I'm the admin. So your groups panel here on the left will be a little bit less overwhelming than mine, but you'll see the probably 5 to 8 around groups that you are a member of. Some groups you're automatically added into upon joining the community. So those are the Share Your Advocacy Actions group, where we ask folks to talk about all the cool things that they're doing in the climate world. There's a help and feedback group that you'll be automatically added to. If you have questions about Reality Hub, or you want to see what other people, what feedback other people are giving. And your chapter group obviously is another one that you're automatically added into. So the way Reality Hub works is it's a groups-based platform. So wherever you are on the platform, you are within a group, and that group will appear at the top of the page. Here, some of the groups have custom cover photos, like this really cool one for your chapter. Whoever did that, props to you. It looks very, very nice. And since it's a groups-based community, we have a nested group-based structure. So the way the community works is, based on region, you are within a certain set of, family groups. So the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter is nested beneath the Texas State Coalition. So that's every climate leader and chapter member in Texas is in that group, including you. And And then above that, you are in the Southwest and Rocky Mountain region group. So that's all folks who are in your region doing climate work, whether they're in a chapter or they're just climate reality leaders. And then above that, there's a United States branch group. That's every one of our volunteers who's in the United States. And then above that is the top level community group. So getting access to the Fort Worth chapter group, which is the bottom of that kind of chain, gets you automatic access to all the groups above it. And I'll show you how you can navigate from group to group and how you can actually, engage with people in the community. So let's start there. Once you're in this group, what do you do? And depending on the group, you might be saying different things. So maybe it'd actually be smart to start with the Texas group. So we'll start here in this Texas Coalition group. So we as staff might post relevant things to Texas, every now and then in this group, for you to engage with and get updates on the most recent climate news. So this was a blog post that one of our staff did on April 12th, specifically about Texas and natural gas. And it's a cool piece of content to engage with. But you might want to just reach out to other volunteers or activists in Texas and say, who's doing something this weekend, or there's some event that I would like to share out. So the main way you actually engage with people in this community is by making a discussion post. So you could see discussion here is the default way to communicate with people. You can also click this create post button right here. And if you are on social media, namely Facebook, it's pretty similar, the user experience. So you want to just click create post right here. And then you have, you're prompted to write a subject topic and also, text and content of the post itself. So you can say, anyone, or maybe you're looking for resources for, the Inflation Reduction Act and how, you might be able to access specific tax benefits in the state of Texas. So you could say IRA question, and you could say, anyone have the information I'm looking for? Obviously, it'd be a little bit more specific than that. So you go ahead and that's a post there. Then you've created a post. Obviously, you need to click the post button, and then your post will manifest itself in the discussion feed of this group. So just like Leah posted something on May 4th. And she filled in the subject title just like I did, and then she she's sharing a little bit about the Dallas Fort Worth chapter's podcast, which is very cool. That is exactly, this is how my post that I was just creating would look. I'm not going to post it because I don't want to bother people with a nonsense post, but that's exactly how it would look. And then you can scroll through this feed. You could see that people are introducing themselves. You could see Darshana posted about a climate boot camp. And if you're particularly interested in something, you can always, click the post to expand it. So Leah's post is a little bit longer. You can just click read more right here. You'll see the full post over here. And you can show your appreciation by clicking this little clap button, which is, again, in other social medias is usually just the like button. Click that there. And then you can even comment on it by clicking this little prompt. I'll show it again that says, what would you like to say? If you click that, you can comment on somebody's post and show them that you appreciate, whatever it is that they posted, or if you have follow-up questions, you can ask in the comments as well. And you can even tag people so that they get a notification that says, hey, this person is trying to reach you in some manner. And so that their attention is drawn back to your post so that you can start a little bit of, a discussion within the community. So to tag people, you just shift to, and that's just the @ symbol. So, I'm going to tag Leah. I'll search for her name. And I'll say, thank you for sharing. And then I'll save that comment, and then boom, that is a comment, within this discussion thread. So these are, it's pretty simple. The user experience, I'd say, is pretty easy. But I think it's just about finding, all the group spaces that you're in or that you want to take advantage of. and looking for people who are doing work that you're interested in and engaging with them and sharing news with them and all the wonderful things that happen when activists come together and engage with one another. So that is the primary way to actually engage in the community, but there's other things you could do too. We'll stay with the Texas Coalition Group as an example. You might have an event that you want to share out that's happening in Texas. Maybe there's a rally in Austin, capital city, and it's a climate rally, and you want everyone in Texas to know about it. So to share that out, you could post a discussion post like I just did. Or you can post an event. We have a formal, capacity to create event posts in this community. So to do that, we were in discussion here. That's the default. You just click event over here, and this will prompt you to create an event that will be shared out to everybody in the community, or everybody in this group specifically. So everybody in Texas. So you can upload a photo. Event name, make sure you say, if it's in Austin, you can just type in the location and it'll automatically appear. The time zone will adjust based on which city you select, which is very nifty. A quick description of the event. If you select this button, that means you are emailing the event out to every single person in the group. So definitely, if you do that, be sure that you're prepared to get a lot of email responses and answer a lot of questions from people. You can also uncheck it so that nobody gets emailed about it necessarily, but if they're logging into Reality Hub and checking out what's going on there, they'll see the post. And then when you click create the event, it'll show up on the feed just like all these other posts are showing up. So it's really good tool to share out, because we do so many events as climate activists, and there's so many marches or speaker panels and whatever it might be. So it's a really, really good tool to share out kind of cool things that might be happening in your area. So I'd say discussions and events to the primary ways we think are really useful for engaging in the community. But you might be wondering, you just hopped to the Texas group, but how do I even get from group to group? Which is kind of a question that we get a lot from folks who are trying to manage group navigation a little bit better. It's simpler than it looks, I think, for a lot of people. So, I mentioned at the top of the call, we have the Share Advocacy Actions group. Another group that a lot of you are probably in is the Climate Reality Leadership Core group. And that is the group that all climate reality leaders are in. So out of the close to 60,000 people we have in our community, we have about a little bit closer to 50,000 of those people are actually trained leaders. And so many of you are trained leaders as well. So, say we want to navigate to that group, that you saw a resource in that group that you liked and you want to check out. The way you actually navigate, there's two ways you could do it actually. Here are all your groups on the left side of the screen. So the initial, pop-up that you might see is this. So you don't see any groups right now. It might be a little bit deceiving because you're not totally sure that there's, all your groups are on the left side of the screen there. Just click on this expand menu, and then you'll see all the groups. So, the groups that you've entered into recently will pop up at the top. There's a bunch of suggested groups for you here that you can check out that are, usually those are the topic specific groups. So we have a nature-based solutions group where a lot of folks talk about regenerative agriculture, and we have a climate creatives group that's a group all about folks who are doing art and climate and how those things interact with each other, and a lot of other topic specific groups. We have a parents coalition group made up of folks who are parents who are reconciling with how to present information about climate change to their children. So there's a lot of different topic specific groups you could see when you expand that menu. So I really encourage you to click view all next to these suggested groups and check out all the groups that are available to you, so you can further your engagement in the community and talk to people who are doing some really cool work. But getting back on track, so right now there's a little drop down button right here, this green button. It prompts you to show your recent groups, so that's the menu that we're on right now. And then you can also check out all the groups that you are a member of already that you belong to. Again, so your list is probably going to be around 5 to 8 groups. Mine's much longer, but amongst these groups, if you're looking for the Climate Reality Leadership Core group, like I was saying before, all you got to do is type it in this search bar. So the group is called, and you might not know exactly what the group is called, so you can use key terms too. So you can use the term leadership core here, and the group will appear so that you can navigate to it. And then also, what I prefer to do for group navigation is use this search bar at the top, and I think that's a little bit more intuitive for folks. So you can type in any keyword, whether you're looking for a group or a resource or a person, and you will be able to find a lot of results using this search bar. So really, you should lean on this search bar for navigation because you will find your way to where you need to be, regardless of what it is you're searching. So, say I'm looking for that leadership core group. I'll go ahead and type it in that search bar. And you can see at the top here, it's categorizing, what exactly I'm locating when I type in leadership core. So I can be looking specifically for posts that say leadership core in them, and posts that have that term and that phrase will be included in this search. I can look for members. I don't think anybody is named a leadership core, so it'll probably just give you random results there. And I can look for groups, which is what I am looking for. So if I click on this groups tab up here, I will be able to see that the leadership core group is the one that appears if my internet will work properly. And then also resources. So I know before there were some questions about, how exactly do we access the resources that are available to members of the leadership core. That's a really great way. If you get lost and you don't know where exactly you are in group navigation, you can type in that term and you can find a lot of the really essential resources that are available to you as a member of the leadership core. But let's go to that group just to check it out. And if you're not a trained leader, this process also applies to you. Just in terms of the search bar and navigating and looking for members and looking for resources and looking for posts. But here's the Climate Reality Leadership Core group. So if you are a member of the leadership core, this group is very essential to accessing all of the licensed content that is available to you as a trained leader. And I hope this clears up some questions about how to access resources. So this resource center, and you might have seen before, there's a members tab for every group, an events tab that keeps track of when and where all the events are happening, and resources tab. And if you click on the resources tab for any group that you're in, you might see that it's pretty built out. Some are built out and some are not. I would say the one in this group is the most built out of any resource center we have in this community. So click resources here and you'll see a very organized and thorough resource center that we've put together so you can access key materials. So of course, the one that everyone wonders about is the slide decks document. So that's the featured resource up here. You can either click it and view a preview and then download it up here. Or what's easier is we have quick links that you can just jump to all the essential resources. So Al Gore slide decks updated April 2023. So the most recent slide decks from the Inflation Reduction Act training are in this document. All you gotta do is click on it from this resource center and you will see a document full of resources going all the way back to 2014. But we've created this little menu here for trainings spanning as far back as 2020, so that if you're looking for a training that you attended and you want to see the slide decks, all you gotta do is click on the training name and you'll be brought right to the training where you can download keynote presentation and the long PowerPoint presentation. So these files are really large, so I definitely make sure you know that going into it. They might take a little bit time to load when you click on them, but these resources are absolutely essential and really useful. So that's just one of the many resources that are available to you in this group. And the other main document I'll highlight in this group, since we're talking about how to access resources, are the virtual training sessions. So we have a lot of virtual trainings. As you know, the most recent training we had, the Inflation Reduction Act training, was virtual. So we were able to record a lot of those sessions that were held in that training and actually, make them accessible for folks in this community. So this document right here, it's called Leadership Core Virtual Training Sessions. We had 25 sessions from the most recent training. I think there were only, maybe 1 or 2 that we didn't get access to because we need, the consent and permission of the folks who are being recorded. So we don't always get that, but most of the time we do. And you can see for the Power Up training, we have all these amazing resources from top officials and folks who are really involved, in the climate field, big names, people from federal agencies, which was really cool to see those speakers as well. So these are all, really essential resources that have descriptions that will be really great for you to view. And if you need to brush up on all the climate work that you're doing and especially as it pertains to the Inflation Reduction Act, these things, these videos are really great. So it's about, Leah Stokes has a video on navigating individual incentives. You can see a little bit about the description here and then click to view the recording and you'll be able to see the recording of that video. So I really encourage you, if you're a train leader, to take advantage of the resources that we have in that resource library because they're really great. But again, that navigation, that group navigation is really key as well. I by the way, I forgot to mention this at the top. I will have time for some questions. I know folks will probably have questions and want to clarify things. So I'll leave that for the end. But we have a few more things to go through. I want to show you, I'll go back to your chapter page. And again, I know you all use Discord for communication a lot of the time. So this group is not as active, but it's really good, group space if you do want to get back into this. Because not only, like Discord offers you the ability to talk with one another, like I guess as it resembles Slack. But here you can, post events, discussions. You can host your own resource center that maybe, if the chapter leadership wants to host resources that are specific to your chapter, maybe regional things, or, maybe even, the documents that you work off of as a chapter, you can host them in this resource center. Right now, yours is empty, as many of the chapter groups are, but it's a really cool tool to build out and to be able to, have a central hub of resources, for your chapter. And you can also check out all different members in your chapter. So here you can see, the names of different folks, and you'll be able to see their names if they've actually registered their Reality Hub accounts. And you can also message people. So I'm in the members tab here. There's a little magnifying glass that you see here. And I can type in, people's names. So say I want to message Richard. There he is. I just typed in his name and he appeared. He's got a great photo there. And I want to talk to Richard, give him a hello and, ask about, resources or, when are we having our next chapter meeting or whatever it might be. There's a little chat bubble next to his name. And I can go ahead and say, hey, Richard, hope you're well, or whatever it might be. Send that message to him. And now we have a private message thread between the two of us, which is exciting. So, once you navigate back to the community, say you want to go back to that Dallas group over there. And now I'm in, go to the groups. Here's the space where we, exist together. And if I expand this menu, that groups menu that I was showing you before, and I scroll down all the way to the bottom, I can see all the conversations that I've been having with people, the private messages that I've been exchanging. And Richard obviously is my most recent message, so he'll appear at the top there. And you'll get a little notification when someone is messaging you. So that's really great. It's a really cool way to personalize your communication with folks. And on the note of notifications, that's another essential thing that I want to show you, your own personal notifications for your profile. So that on many social media sites, this is this works similarly. You have your little bell icon notifications up here. So this is where you can navigate, different things that have happened in all the group spaces that you're in. So I see Alex actually appreciated a post that I posted in the Houston Power Up Training cohort group. That's the group we had for all folks who were taking part in our Houston training last year. And this is where, if somebody, like I was showing you before, somebody tags you in a post, you can, this is where you'd be notified about that. So these are notifications within the community. But you might also know that you get emails occasionally from Reality Hub. Most of the time, that's us admins sending things out. And those are posts that we deem, extra important. And as admins, we can actually email them to you so that you can see them via email, but you're also prompted to see the actual post in the community. But you can adjust those notifications on Reality Hub if you don't want emails about certain things. You can opt out, you can unsubscribe. The default actually is that you get one email every Thursday, and you might have seen this, and this probably sounds familiar to a lot of you. You get one email every Thursday that rounds up all the kind of top level content that has been posted in every group space that you're in. That way you don't have to get countless emails every time something is posted, but you can see once a week all the top things that have happened. Maybe there's a really good content piece by someone on staff that they want to share, or an important announcement. That's where you would see a lot of that information and news. Again, that's the default, but you can adjust your settings by clicking on your little profile circle up here. And then if you go to profile settings right here, this brings you through a long list of different emails that you can receive or not receive that are triggered based on specific actions. So say I don't want to be emailed every time there's a post in every single group, but I might want to be emailed, every time there's a post in, a specific group that I'm in, maybe the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter group. So again, my list of groups is very long. So, I might, let's find the Dallas group. I'll check that off here. That means now I'm getting an email every time there's a post in that group. So, I don't have to rely on myself and my own volition logging into Reality Hub and seeing it. I could just be reminded via email every time there's a post in that group that there was a post, and I can go ahead and check it out, which is really nice. And then finally, I just wanted to highlight the Our Climate Moment group. So a lot of you might already be plugged into this campaign. And if you're not, I definitely encourage you to be. So the only way you can access this group for our Climate Moment campaign, which is really focused on implementing all the wonderful things that the Inflation Reduction Act has to offer, is by joining our campaign formally. We have a form that maybe I could send out to the leadership in this chapter, and you can distribute it widely if you've not already. And when you fill out that form, it automatically adds you to this Our Climate Moment group. We're up to almost 500 members now. And this is where all the announcements for the campaign are going to be held, all the updates. So we share some really good resources in here too. The resource center in this group is really built out for you to know everything you need to know about the Inflation Reduction Act and how to present information about it to your community and to folks that you're working with. So this is a really great group to be a part of. Again, the only way you can access it is if you formally join our campaign. And the first ask of the campaign is to join a presentation track where we're asking folks to kind of, get educated, through all of our resources and welcome webinars. And then you yourself give presentations to members of your community about all the tax incentives in the Inflation Reduction Act, so that we can have more people actually take advantage of this and we can implement this piece of legislation in the way it should be, because it's obviously, we all know it's a huge piece of legislation that has some serious implications on how well we do combating climate change. So definitely encourage that. So if your chapter leadership has not yet shared that out, I can send the link over to whoever so that they can share out how to actually join that campaign. And I think that is probably a lot of information to take in all at once. And there might be some questions. So I'm happy to kind of pause it there and dedicate some time to answering folks' questions if there are any.
And you might take a look at the chat.
Yeah.
I think it may have been answered, but it's a good discussion point.
Okay, yeah, about the Discord.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll speak on that a little bit. Yeah, and we knew, we have Reality Hub has existed as a group space and a resource center since 2015, I think, is when we started bringing folks into Reality Hub. But we transitioned to a new platform last year. And with the transition, we were kind of deciding, how can we expand this community and make it, even better. And we decided, adding groups for every chapter might be really useful for internal chapter communications and resource sharing. So we knew for sure that not every chapter would use their group spaces because you all already have very established ways of communicating, and no one wants to have to, totally reinvent the wheel, especially when it doesn't need to be, if you have a method that works for you already. So like I said, we've had plenty of chapters that are like, we didn't really have a good method of communication, or, a place where we can just put all of our resources or, things that we want to be accessible by everyone in the chapter. So Reality Hub was their Reality Hub group that we created for them was a welcome change. But we have a lot of groups like your chapter who already have a set method for internal communication, like Discord or WhatsApp or, Facebook or whatever it is. And it's definitely not my intention to force you to change that. Reality Hub is used for a lot of other things. And, I think having a group space is still important, but there's, as a chapter member, the fact that you have access to Reality Hub and all the other group spaces and the resources and, the topic specific groups that, people engage in every day. And just to be connected to a huge community of activists, I think that's really important. So, I definitely by no means do you have to use this chapter space specifically since you already have your Discord. And that, I'd leave up to the leadership of the chapter. Obviously, it would be on them to kind of make this a space that, functions in a way that they would want to. But as a chapter member, you having access to this community in general is really important, regardless of whether or not you use the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter group specifically. And yeah, I see there's some question. I don't know if Simon or Mike or Michael was, I think Simon might have been first.
Thank you, Ben. So I think the new hub is a fantastic tool, especially for collaborating with other leaders who are not within our chapter. I know our creatives is working on a global creatives coalition, which is fantastic and it's wonderful. So my question is really just about the organization of the individual chapter groups, because it seems like it's just one long page. And we have a lot of different initiatives within our chapter. So is there a way to kind of organize that so you can see everything, even if somebody forgot to like use certain keywords or something, to pull up like all of a section? Or is it really just kind of geared toward like chapter specific announcements like, hey, this is our next chapter meeting, this is our next in-person event, and just really kind of limited like that, like very streamlined?
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. I would say it leans on being streamlined a little bit more. But what I will say too is that, if you do decide to build out the resource center, you probably have different committees within the chapter or, different kind of topics that you discuss. The resource center is a useful tool, and I think speaks to what you're saying a little bit, because you can organize resources based on topic and create different folders for various types of resources. So, say you want to do like an IRA specific resource folder within your chapter group, you can do that so that, everyone, if you want to check out any of the content or any of the materials that you have related to IRA, you just click on, that section of the resource center and it doesn't, it doesn't show up or manifest itself anywhere else. But yeah, I mean, it is the way the discussion threads work is that it is kind of just like a long chain of, event sharing or discussions. And you can search keywords, like I was saying, to find specific posts. But yeah, I mean, I think it's designed intentionally that way. And again, right, that probably doesn't work for every, group space. But I think the reason is, and it's also designed in a way where the most recent action on any post is what shows up at the top. So even if something was posted, April 1st, and there's been, 5 or 6 other posts since then, if someone comments on that April 1st post, that'll show up at the top, which, and the intention there is that that must be relevant if someone is commenting on it, or, there's a reason to bring it back. So then that would resurface at the top of the discussion thread. So yeah, it's kind of like a stream of consciousness a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mike.
Okay, so I feel like this might be a little more individual, so I don't necessarily want to take a lot of chapter time with this, but so following the leadership training, I believe I heard that we would get like an invite email to join our local chapter and the leadership core group.
Yep.
I'm not sure if that's also our climate moment group, because I feel like I'm ready for all 3.
Right.
But I never got the email. I'm like, well, I'll just use the search function. So literally I cannot find it. And while you were talking earlier, I'm like, I minimized this window. I opened up my my Reality Hub and tried to specifically use the word, for Dallas Fort Worth chapter. I did climate reality. Nothing's coming up, and so I feel like I need some support. Is there anybody? Is that you? Can we talk after? Or
Yeah, absolutely. That is me. Yeah. So, any of the emails that people send about getting access to groups or, trouble with their account or whatever, that's myself and my colleague Jess that handles those. So yeah, I have all the backend data I need to probably see what, group permissions you have, and I could find out, why whatever happened did happen. So I made a note of that to check on that, and I'll absolutely look into it. And I think most of the time it's as simple as we just resend the invitation, and then you see it, and then you're in all the groups that you need to access. So it's probably a simple fix, but I'll absolutely dig into that and
my email in the chat, or
I've got it.
okay.
Yeah, I also have
You
all
probably
that
do.
too. Yeah, I've got all the back end data. So yeah, I'll shoot you an email right after this, and it'll hopefully be resolved.
Thanks.
Cool. Michael.
I want to share with the chapter that Ben has been an absolute lifesaver. And we were on the Climate Boot Camp, the EcoActus team. I was like one of the first event posters when they brought up the hub. And with my technical thumbs, I was able to break just about, I do about everything wrong it was possible to do. And I just want to thank Ben in front of it, because he was absolutely wonderful to work with. Never called me stupid because I couldn't find the right buttons and stuff like that. I do have one question for you, Ben. And a quick update. We've had, I think, a lot of uptake on the Climate Boot Camp. It's actually been taught now as a university course for a major university. It's groups are coming to us and saying, we want to share it with our group. How could we get on the resource center and make it a resource for the leaders? Because we have climate leaders who take it and come back and say, well, this is perfect for my group. And then we'll work with them to help show them how to use it and all that. And maybe we should go offline with that, but I'd like to follow up and see if there's a way we could make people aware and put it out there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. And first of all, thank you for your praise, and also I'm very glad that the group is going well. Yeah, I think that's something we've done for groups like yours. I know the Climate Business Working Group, for example, they kind of wanted to pitch to the entire climate reality community that they exist and they are a good group space and resource for folks. So they wrote up a little post and shared it into one of our top level groups that has tens of thousands of people in it, and that drew some new membership for them. And I think what the best solution, at least initially, would be to construct a post that I'd be happy to share, or you can share in the larger climate reality community, maybe in the leadership core group or just the community group as a whole, and post that with the link to the EcoActus group, so that they can just join it directly from that post. And yeah, we can talk offline if you want to meet, and I can bring you through that process. But I think that would be, you know, kind of the best call in bringing people in a little bit more.
Great. And I'll send you an email to remind on that.
Great. Yep. Looking forward to it.
I see Lauren was having a hard time finding the Dallas Fort Worth chapter too. So you might follow up with her as well,
Okay.
Ben.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, can you put your email in the chat, Ben? And
Yeah.
thank you for the info, very helpful. I think I'm having the same issue that Mike was. I was like searching constantly, not finding anything. So that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely want to assist. There's my email. I'll make a note that I'll also look into your email situation or your account situation as well.
Thank you.
Of course.
So we've had a variety of leadership over the last few years, and we were pretty happy with Discord for a while there, but it's been quieter in recent months. So it may be time as a chapter to reevaluate which platforms we're using and consolidate. We definitely appreciate the presentation, Ben. I think that gives us some insight into what's out there and what the main climate reality and so many other chapters are using.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say we also offer, you know, for the chairs of the chapter, we offer formal group manager tutorial trainings because there's a lot of cool things you could do as the admin of the group, and the admins are chapter chairs that, you know, really make sure they ensure that people are engaging. There's specific tools you can use as admins that, you know, I'd be happy to meet with, you know, whoever would be responsible for the group in the leadership committee and kind of give you that formal training because it's super useful. And Ryan, yeah, I mean, you can my email is there, so you can always email me feedback. There is a formal group in Reality Hub 2 called Reality Hub Help and Feedback, where you can post, you know, any feedback or, you know, improvements you want to see. And we work. I'm not a developer. I'm just a community guy, so I can't always. I don't always speak the language exactly, but I work very closely with the developers, and I translate, you know, kind of like from an engagement perspective, this is what we want to see, and they a lot of time are able to work with me and adjust. So definitely, my email is there. We also support at Climate Reality is also a really good email, which I'll drop in the chat. And I help you know, run that email as well as some other people on the engagement team who do community work. So definitely open channels of communication. Definitely always want to hear feedback and hear the user experience. And I see Jan has a question as well.
Hi there. Thank you for the info. I might have missed this, but the one thing I like about Discord is I have it on my phone as an app, and I wondered, is the Reality Hub also that way?
Yeah. Reality Hub. We have a branded app which is available in the App Store for iOS and also the Google Play Store for Android. So yeah, you can get Reality Hub on your phone. Yeah,
I love it. Thank you so much.
Of course.
So
Ben, I just wanted to say
Ben,
real quick, Ben, I'm the chair of the chapter, so I'm going to reach out to you about that training because I didn't know about it and it sounds very intriguing.
Great. Yeah, looking forward to it.
would there be analytics included in that? In other words, we'd be able to see how engaged people are? Or...
Yeah, absolutely. We can pull all that data, and yeah, you'd have access to that data as well. Maybe not as in depth, but you can see, you know, who's registered and who's posted and all that stuff. So definitely really useful.
Well, thank you again, Ben. I'm glad we made this happen, and we're able to hear about the current state of Reality Hub. We appreciate it. We've just got a couple of more things on the agenda. You're welcome to stay, or if you've got things, you're welcome to proceed with your day. But we definitely appreciate your coming, and we have a much better understanding of the platform now. So thanks again.
Yeah, and thank you all for listening. I know it could be a little bit dry, but again, my emails are open. It's my job to help you all, and I love doing it. So let me know if you ever need any assistance, and I'd be happy to help. And I'll stick around a little bit and work on some of the accounts that seem like they are not working properly. So just in case I have any questions for those folks. But thank you all so much. Really appreciate your time and attention.
Probably the key with most, as with most technology, is to use it. So you get familiar with it, give it a try, give it a road test. Good. Well, we do just have one more announcement, really more of a discussion. We did spend quite a bit of time in April, spent the day at Oak Cliff Earth Day, and we spent 3 days at EarthX. And Beth will give you a minute for your announcement. But just any sort of feedback, were these worthwhile activities? Oak Cliff Earth Day is relatively inexpensive, $35. And we have most of the materials to make that happen. EarthX is getting a little more expensive. I think the early bird price was $400. Then we had to buy a $135 liability insurance policy. That was probably the bulk of it. But just a little discussion on how that went. Is it worthwhile? Should we do it next year? Should we be doing other things? I know, some people have some thoughts on Trammel Crow and the EarthX organization itself. There's some issues, but just thought we'd throw that open for a few minutes and hear any feedback that people want to provide. Jayashri.
So my first feedback is ConocoPhillips was one of the sponsors of EarthX, and you know how ConocoPhillips is involved in Alaska. And so I am very skeptic of supporting something that is actually feeding into, it's like that the book that winner takes all. Those who have money, they put their foot in everything and then they control the whole. So this time, at least the EarthX, when I went, it seemed more like a commercial event. Everyone was selling their product. Everything was nothing as informational maybe as our booth was. So I felt there is more commercial activity and of course the money involved. So if we had not done the early booking, it would have been $600, and then the liability, that is almost $750. Is it worth it? So we all need to think about it. The hard donations that people have been making us, is it worth using for that purpose? That is my one of the feedback.
Thank you, Jayashri. Anybody else want to pipe in? A lot of us were at one of the two events, and any other? Oh, we got some hands up. Beth and then Maureen.
Yeah, I think one of my questions, since we do these things for community building, I'm wondering if there's any way we've been able to determine, for example, how many people we got to the new mailing list, since mailing list is one of the ways that we reach out and make contact and build community. Do we know?
That's a good question. I'm sure I could get a specific count. I shared the lists with several people who were then going to input people who wish to become members. or people who wish to get on our mailing list. So I'm sure we can get a specific number. It was a pretty large number, though, I'd say. We had a lot of people we know how many people filled out the physical sheets. We don't know how many people scanned the QR codes and pursued that path. A lot of people scanned the QR codes. So that analytic would be very helpful. And maybe as we figure out the new mail system, I know some of us have been kind of distracted since EarthX, but we need to look at that, Beth, and see specifically. But it did seem like a pretty substantive number of people connected with us.
Hey, Richard, I can answer that real quick.
Good, thank you.
So, and just eyeballing it, because I had to enter all the names in the document. So I think we had about 40 new members that we got to join the chapter. I want to say another 20 or 30, but we'll go back and look, that signed up for information and joining the newsletter. Now, that's not taking into account people's email addresses that I likely got wrong because I can't read people's handwriting. So that is one comment I have about our next event, is that we either need to have someone entering that manually, because interpreting handwriting is not really effective all the time.
Yeah, I noticed some real challenging handwriting there,
Yeah.
Lauren. So
Yeah.
good, thank you. I'm glad to have that. Maureen?
I'm going to talk particularly about the first one, and that was on behalf of the Tarrant County group that we're just forming. I was able to go around and talk to some other organizations with the idea of forming coalitions for where we had projects in common. We can support each other. So that was one thing. The other thing, which was much more personal, was the ability to see face-to-face other members, people that I hadn't met before, face-to-face. Like Beth and I hardly recognized each other because it was the first time we'd been off screen. And so for me, and Simon mentioned this too to me, it might be time for us to have a face-to-face event outside for us to do exactly that. And then the third thing was, I did listen to the Green Path, one of the podcasts, and it is terrific. It really is terrific. So I highly recommend you all to tune in to Leah and her guests. Thanks.
Thank you, Maureen. Mike, you got your hand up.
Yes, I was just gonna echo, I think it was Beth that said, like, how many members do we join, new emails, new members, and maybe the fundraising opportunity would offset, in the future because of these new members. And then, yeah, it's troubling that groups like ConocoPhillips or whoever would kind of put their environmental face on for these kind of events, but I do feel it's important because for us to be there, not just to challenge something like that, but to accept these new people. I feel a lot of people, like last year when I went, I was coming to connect with, with people like you. And while all the commercial stuff that was there is nice and a lot of good info, presentations or podcasts from our group, and I think people are really looking to connect at that deeper level. And my last comment is, I've been doing a lot of trainings with the Democratic Party, and I'm doing stuff with Collin County locally. And one of the things is when you're getting new members and people to sign up, it's like having something for them to do. So like with campaigning, if you have a volunteer, you want to have an event right away. If you have a meeting, what's the next action item or event? And then so EarthX, a big thing. Was it 3 days again?
Yes.
Like maybe next year we could plan an event immediately, even the next week, which would be more like, hey, this is Climate Reality DFW. And then it pulls people away from that larger event and more intimate setting, even if it was a Zoom, but to draw people into an action more personalized. So just a comment maybe for next year.
Good, thank you.
So
Yeah,
I'd like to just say something real quick if I could, Mike. Those are some
Sure.
really good ideas. I was wondering if I could talk you into working with our membership chair, Lauren, and our events chair, Richard, to kind of like bring some of those events into fruition. Would you be up for that?
Absolutely.
Fantastic, thank you. I'll make sure. Could you send me your contact information so I can make sure that they have it?
Sure.
Thank you.
Put it in the chat.
And in the chat, by the way, is a link to the Green Paths podcast, which is out on all podcast streaming platforms now, including Amazon. So check it out.
I guess I'll give my 5 cents. It seemed like Oak Cliff Earth Day seemed a lot more casual. A lot of people were there just sort of looking for something to do on a Sunday. Had some good conversations, but had quite a few substantive conversations at EarthX, particularly Saturday. You know, Friday there were a lot of schools, and that was a little crazy. I think DISD emptied the system. Saturday had quite a few substantive discussions. Sunday, the weather was cold and rainy, not very many people there, so that was a little disappointing. But so yeah, these are all things we'll have to discuss and decide where we want to go for next year. We have limited funds, limited resources, and we need to use those wisely. Okay, so we're getting toward the end of our meeting. Had a good meeting, lots of participation, lots of good information. Jeffrey, do you or Aristotle have something to tell us on the way out?
Oh, can I make my little
Oh,
announcement?
I'm sorry, Beth.
Before the Aristotle and Jeffrey. So we just had the Power Up training, and as an addendum, the education part of our chapter is going to do a Powerhouse Presenter series on how here's the deal, 50% of what you do when you're a speaker and presenter is wonderful. And it's wonderful because you are wonderful, and it's wonderful because of your passion level. 50%, the other 50% might in fact minimize that, because we live in a culture that does not train us about how to use the body and the voice and the energy and all of these things that our trained speakers know how to do. So we're going to be doing some seminars in that. Just like we're learning to connect with the earth, we start with the body and the voice. That's our physical house. Then some of the exercises that we do come in and tap into the imagination. So it becomes like an internal massage. And if you've ever had a massage, you know that there are short-term and long-term benefits of that. It is fun. It is safe. I will have a date soon. It will likely be June or July. And I offer a heartfelt invitation to come play. Thank you.
And I guess before we get to Jeffrey, Francis Mott, you joined us a little later. Did you want to say hello or introduce yourself? Or chat? Or not? Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
I just messed up the time on that. I'm sorry. I meant to participate in the whole thing, but I didn't get on until 11. So that's okay.
How did you connect with us, Francis? Did you see us?
I got an email.
Oh,
I got an email.
Okay. Well, we're happy to have you.
Thank you. I am a member of Climate Reality Dallas, and I recently took that training with um, the vice president, and so I just am trying to get more connected so that I can start doing some things.
Good. Well, look for our emails and our announcements, and we'll hopefully be connecting and engaging with you soon. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, Aristotle, I think you're on.
Well, Aristotle, I'm afraid, fell asleep during the presentation, but I'm still here. And I've got an offering here that you can, if you're in a car or something like that, you can just listen to it as a poem. But if you are settled in and with your feet on the ground or whatever, I'm going to close your eyes and use it as a meditation. We call it Be Like a Tree. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, feel a wave move through your body, down to your legs and to your feet, and wiggle your toes. Now feel the tendrils of roots coming out of your feet, rooting down into the ground, connecting with the power and energy of earth, water, and soil. Feel the mitochondrial network of organisms, mycelium, fungi, with which you are interrelated in the soil that supports you. You know the phrase kith and kin? Kin are those of your tribe that you belong to because of the common seed you share. Kith are all the other living beings who inhabit the land, the soil, place that you belong to. They are the microbiome with which you are interbeing, without which you cannot thrive or even survive. Be like a tree. Sense yourself becoming a tree. Stretch your arms up into the sky. Feel the branches growing out of your extended fingers, branching off into smaller ones, leaves budding and sprouting on them. Feel the sunlight on your leaves. Bathe in the sunlight, transforming the light energy into food, and allow its energy to flow to every cellulose cell of your body. Breathe in carbon dioxide and release oxygen out into the air. Your expansive limbs and branches are matched by the expansive hidden rootedness. Your branches can only reach as far as the base rootedness allows. And feel the sense of being strong and tall. You have hundreds, maybe thousands of years to grow. Speed up time a little and you can experience the growth and feel the girth of your trunk expanding as new layers of bark grow on the outside and new rings of experienced life form within you. And you grow stronger and stronger, more solid and more dependable. We humans sometimes ask whether we should be further along on the path to living our values in face of the climate crisis, to living our values in self-transformation, to be along our spiritual path. The trees tell us that wherever we are planted, This is the right place for us right now. Be like a tree. And take a couple of deep breaths. Open your eyes back up if they were closed. Thank you all. Thank you for being with us in this.
Thank you, Jeffrey.